All right, we are here with something we rarely get to do, an episode recap. And,
It's more like an arc recap.
yeah, in this case it's an arc recap. And it's
been a while. We've been waiting for the plot to catch up, and
it finally did.
Kind of.
Sort of.
So,
What?
Oh boy!
Yeah, let's start talking about what's going on. So, Link Joker is pretty much space cancer, infected Kai, which ended up infecting all of whatever Takuto's company is, and started getting to Foo Fighter. So it's starting to be more focused upon Ren, while Aichi's in the background just wondering where Corrin is.
Oh boy!
I miss Corrin! Why isn't Corrin here? Everything's
I
bad.
have this bad feeling that I really should be acting on because I have experience with supernatural powers.
So-
but no.
So yeah, Ren goes to the Foo Fighter building. He's like, "Hey guys, what's going on? Okay, why are you all looking so weird?" It's like, "Oh, you must defeat us. All right, I'm gonna bitch slap you with raging form dragons and mortar femmes for a bit." Goes in the building, sees Corrin.
No.
Oh,
Suiko!
Oh, Suiko.
No,
sorry.
Suiko.
Corrin, Suiko.
It would have made sense if it was
Yes.
Corrin the more you really
Yes.
think about it.
Yeah.
It's like, "Hey
It would've.
Suiko, what's going on? You seem a bit more yonder than normal."
Which is really hard to tell because they don't really have a personality.
Yeah, it's like, if the only way to find out is if you beat me in a card fight. Alright, I'm in.
Link Joker.
Why is-
What's a lock? Oh, this seems like fun.
Okay. You can only attack with your Vanguard this turn. Okay.
Sure.
Okay.
Spit a pesto idol! It's fine, as long as it doesn't get critical trigger.
And
So,
then it was.
Corrin, yes. So,
Suiko's still bad.
She's
Suiko,
so sucked at this
goddammit,
game, even when
she's,
she's reversed.
Consistent about it.
so Suiko's fine. Now they all go to. Oh, what do you want to say?
Just, can we address the fact that she still doesn't have a personality? We have seen her how many times and she doesn't have a personality?
Suiko's just a bitch.
She's there to be contrivance for the plot.
She
Yeah.
is sassy female.
God, she's worse than, like, Shingo.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
At least
That's really saying something too.
I mean, she's
so-
been in the series longer than...
Suiko and Ren go up to the next floor to Asuka's room. Oh dear. Oh.
Okay, so
Well.
like we already knew she was off her rocker, but
But-
that room, all the signs of mental damage.
Yeah.
I think this arc also exposed that Asuka is probably one of the most tragic characters in this entire show.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least mentally wise. Because I'm pretty sure she still has her parents, unlike Kai and Misaki.
I don't know. They never touch on it because apparently it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
All right, so this
Like
part
Kamui
made a bit-
story.
made a bit sense at first. I mean, because you know, Suiko clearly bad person here. Moral high ground worked, and then you get into Asuka's little backstory here, and suddenly Ren's looking like an awful person.
Yep.
And speaking of that, she's so obsessed with him that obviously her parents have not shown her enough love because she's so desperate for it.
Yeah, well, let's go into that during that part. Let's
the cards.
let,
They
let's
don't
say the
matter.
cards. They don't matter for this. Let's start with the most important thing. The fact that Ren says he does always watch her,
They
and
even retconned it.
even retconned it.
We saw no evidence of this in the second season.
Asuka.
Evidently, it happened
No,
during that time
but,
frame.
but not only that, he points out all the times, but seems to forget the time where he kicked her off the team because she lost a fight. Even though it gave him the chance to personally go against the person he wanted to destroy.
Nah, it's fine. He didn't take his happy pills like that.
It was messed up.
And,
Let's exploit your insecurities.
yeah,
Because it makes you better at this game.
that makes me qualified to lecture you. Because even though I didn't let you know I was supporting you, I was supporting you.
Asuka, don't worry, because to me,
You're bad
You
for
are-
not knowing.
You're bad for not knowing I was supporting you by neglecting you.
Asuka, don't
Wait.
worry. To me, you're my bestest buddy. Mordred Breakman for a third time.
And it wouldn't be so bad if Ren did one thing during that whole thing.
apologize.
No, not that. Acknowledge he has his flaws, and he can't make up for what he's done. That's how you fix that whole thing, because obviously he's supposed to be showing up as he's a flawed character, but he never admits it. He never says he did things that were bad. He acts like he's been good this whole time, and he really wasn't, and we know he wasn't.
And then he scolds Asuka.
Yeah, and then scolds her.
What? What did I do? Explain this, please.
Yeah.
Tell the truth. Asuka, how dare you
Even-
have mental insecurities and feelings for me while I completely ignore you and
Gives her
exploit
crap, even though he knows she doesn't remember what happened.
Just.
It's okay.
It's like if you slipped into unconsciousness and started running around knocking things over, and then we yelled at you for an hour, even though you admitted you don't know what you did. It's like there's no point in yelling at you.
It's okay.
We know you don't know.
Did he yell at Suiko? No.
Nope, didn't you know that? You're my friend, too. Smiles, go up, next room. Bitch, 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 bitch. Next floor.
He was
Like the women, they don't matter.
Hey, he was Master Suiko. It's like
He was.
He
That's
was.
the messed up thing.
Suiko actually deserves some punishment for basically saying that you don't have any actual friends and you suck. I'm gonna beat you even though I suck at this game. See, she
I
doesn't.
gave up my old deck just to do this.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
like, he's
Forget
terrible.
the women. Let's just
Forget the
go to
women.
helipad.
Let's go to the helipad.
'Cause
Wait,
apparently
1
that's-
second.
Apparently that's guarded
What?
by a security-coded door.
Oh.
It's fine because there's an elevator in the middle of the room.
That looks awful big. Don't you think we could... No.
No, you can't come with me. Why?
Also, not to mention the fire hazard he and
Oh yeah,
Tetsu have
yeah.
caused.
The door up to the helicarrier pad is locked by computer security, and only 2 people in the whole building know the passcodes to get up there or down from there.
How long
So, yeah,
did it
you
take
wanna
to
be
hack it?
rescued?
All of 3 minutes.
So yeah, want to be rescued by a
So-
helicopter during a fire?
Yeah,
Too
so
bad.
if the first few floors are on fire and the only way out is to get carried out by a helicopter, you get to that door, but can't get out. And it's a metal door, so you can't just knock it over. Looks like you're gonna burn to death. I'm sorry.
Not something
It's-
we should have actually paid attention to, I guess.
I guess, but
Stood out
it's
like
but
that.
it stood out because it's like, come on, and mostly because why would they didn't? Not only that, they didn't even have a reason to be up there.
It's like, we made it! Let's go watch.
Let's just watch. I have faith in Ren that he will win, but not enough faith to just sit there and wait for him to come back.
They have
Yeah.
to see this match.
It was so important.
Yeah. So yeah, Tetsu's up on the roof because he's Batman's like, alright, let's do this. Oh boy, a flashback!
This was a
So-
good flashback, though.
Yeah, like... Apparently Ren was the annoying kid in class.
Play
And
card
Tets-
games with me now? Play
and-
card games with me now?
Tetsu was the leader of the gang?
Yes.
Yep,
And Ren taught him
did not do that. Taught
there
him.
is value in fighting in other ways.
Yep. Although the irony still gets me that if he never did that, the only person who would probably be reversed right now is maybe Kai, and that's it. No one else would be reversed right now.
Maybe.
I don't understand anyway.
At least not of the people in that building, because he admits to it himself he would never been able to set up all of that AL4 Foo Fighter without Tetsu's help. If Tetsu weren't there, that building wouldn't exist, and all those people wouldn't have been possessed.
Not to mention, I just realized, I think Tetsu still beat people up after he learned that lesson.
Oh, it's okay.
Maybe for a while.
Because
He never got taught that fighting was bad.
Well, it's not that fighting is bad. It's just that it can hurt.
Yeah,
Me speaking from personal knowledge, it's not fun
yeah,
when you have to do it.
yeah. He seemed
But
to like
this-
it though.
But the card games
No.
are.
The guardians
Let's-
are, except for when he was, feeling the pain from this thing.
Yeah.
When he was punched in the face.
all the other people like got reversed. Don't worry, they're being saved by the best hero ever, Kyoyagi!
Yep, everyone else is. Oh yeah, and when they're not doing that, they're taking breaks going to the Bushi Road supermarket.
Oh man. had to take breaks for food, you see.
Kyo was the unsung hero of this arc.
Well, he was. He made it so Ren could get in there at all.
So should we talk about all the misplays Tetsu and Ren did? Or
Yeah,
just...
we should. Mostly because Ren was so freaking smug and confident near the end.
Tetsu, you probably would have won if you just didn't cross-ride, bro.
He didn't cross-ride, he just rode.
No, he crossed road. Oh,
No,
wait,
he
yeah.
didn't call
Yeah,
cross
he
ride.
didn't technically,
No,
he just
he was
rode
better
over.
off.
The point was...
Point still
if he
stands.
didn't,
If he just played the cross-ride thing on the rear
22K
guard,
line or something,
yeah. Because
and the center lane would have been just as
it
big.
would just be by itself because it's a Mon. That's what he does.
And you wouldn't have locked anything either, so that column would have been at full power.
Yeah.
It's just
And
like,
I forget what Draw does. What does she do when she... I think she's
Moving
an
the soul, so retard 1.
Yeah. So, but the point is, Ren was at 5 damage at this point. You didn't need the extra critical. You probably would have gotten him.
that's
It's
such
just-
an easy thing to spot, too. It's,
In fact, we know he would have because, well, we saw Ren's next cards. He did not have gotten the heal trigger. He would have lost right there.
And then, what was it? He called...
Also... Sorry.
he called Tartu and then Counterblast to bring out Grade 1 Masquerade. I don't know if his other Darkbond was in the damage or not. That may have been why he didn't call it.
I don't know. I honestly think it was a misplay that he didn't call Tartu off of the Mordred instead of, like, I don't know.
Oh.
Also, I don't think we mentioned this. Can we mention that Tetsu is the nicest person and the best person?
Well,
out of
he's
everyone?
he's the biggest bro. Is the very least. He's definitely that.
That was
Because
already
we were talking about what being reversed does to you, and it was what was it again? It effectively
kind of gets rid of your inhibition. Like it's your inner
Yeah.
desire without like the thing that tells you what's morally right.
yeah, it gets rid of your morality for the most part, sort of.
That's what we think it is.
I
Every
mean,
day we
you're
turn
still
it.
you.
It's so you. It's just you're not
a
using your
bit
proper.
twisted.
You're twisted. You're not using your
so
proper
it's like-
judgment.
So it's like Persona 4 with all the shadows and whatnot.
Yeah, I mean,
Sort of.
Kai wanted to win,
So
but he was gonna do it on his own power, whatever that means.
whatever it means.
And then
But
he
now
took one that
it's
wasn't his.
because now he's been turned into.
Now
He just
just
wants
to
power
win.
just to win. Period. It's the only argument against it is Suiko's existence because it turned her
He
from being a
changed.
bitch to being a bitch.
She just wanted to be bitchier.
It really didn't change her at all.
Asuka went from "look at me"
To I'll make you look at me.
What happened to Naoki?
Naoki just wanted to fight strong people, which makes sense because he wanted to become stronger.
That's right.
And then
He wanted to
Tetsu,
beat the strong people.
and then Tetsu wanted always looking after Ren, and then
Wanted Ren to be more
wants him to be more
responsible.
responsible and more suitable to be the king.
And it's
Ren, why won't you get
hilarious.
a job? Why won't you listen to Mother Tetsu?
Anyway,
And it's actually kind of funny because he's totally right.
yeah, he is
You know
right.
what- You know what I'm starting to think? I think Ren always just stacks his deck every time he shuffles.
Well, he sucks
Because,
poorly.
Against Asuka, pulls Raging Form, and then a critical trigger. And then against Setsu, he just pulls Raging Form
Well,
for game.
if that's true, he's terrible at it because he would have lost the last one if Tetsu didn't screw up.
Just,
But, you know, all's good in the hood. Everyone from Foo Fighters unreversed.
except
Except
Bito.
Bito, who said some
started a fight with Kyo.
who said some interesting things as he started.
Evidently, Bito's motivation here is exactly the same as Asuka's.
Yeah, being
You
that
have any idea how creepy that is?
yes. Bear in mind, he wants Ren for
Senpai,
himself.
please notice me.
Yeah, not
Put any clothes on.
even notice. Wants him.
In the first season, he already had kind of that gay vibe
Yeah.
going for him, and now.
But
he's
now
got-
it's now it's full on. He
But that was
he said it himself. He wants him to
But that was
control
also
him,
my
to
favorite
have
part.
him.
AL4 just walks away. Oh, you can't stop that fight now that you've started it, by the way.
We'll see what happens.
Which is
afterwards.
another thing. He's the lamest reverse I've ever seen, because the other ones just did what they wanted, except for him, who's like, damn it, you're right. I have to stay here and fight this guy, and then I'm going to find you. Even though a real reverse person probably would have just done it, because it's their will.
Yeah, it feels weird because it ended up getting really comical with Ren, especially with Asuka. It's like, I will make you rhyme. Now do me, Asuka. Yes.
That and I also realized anyone who plays the Pale Moon is cursed to be attached to Ren.
It seems
Yes.
so.
That's weird. So, I guess we're not gonna see Kyo again for a while.
I guess not. But you know who we will see again?
Corey!
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like,
apparently.
yeah, Ren just shows up at the Yankee Academy. It's like,
No, actually just
No, actually
just
shows up to them.
shows up.
Oh,
Hey guys, what's going on?
And then it's
You know, Corey's been gone. I thought you might know something about it. Oh, yeah, we have been busy. And oh, hey, Corey.
hey, where have you been? Oh, just, you know, where have you been? Oh,
yeah,
you know,
Corey record
making
just show
toast.
up. I don't know if that's gonna do something later in Hot, but they just kind of show
got
up.
a
Yes.
feeling
It's
that
a trap.
yeah.
It's gotta be a trap, otherwise,
This is the worst writing staff ever.
because that means the first month worth of stuff,
all these foreboding feelings
Guys.
involving these people
people, and wondering where she is
completely empty.
because they just
You
came
know
back.
why? They're just Daigo. I mean, ultra rare.
But here's the thing: it might not be a trap. Like you said before, maybe they are contractually obligated to have Aichi in a good chunk of episodes. Therefore, they only had it there for something for him to talk about, other than I have a strange feeling. Because he was out of the last, 3, but it may be that he could only be out of so many episodes in a season.
He was in the preview, so he got his lines there.
I don't know if that
Not
counts.
to mention,
Maybe he needs a certain amount of lines.
they gave us no explanation for why Corey was gone. Because the explanation they gave was, oh, she must be on concert tours with all of Ultra. But Suiko obviously wasn't, so where was Corey?
It better be a payoff.
We got a bit of a consistency issue here, too.
Yeah,
Because
it's true.
all of that took place over one day when it clearly shouldn't have.
Yeah, because they kept on saying, like, oh, Corian isn't here today. Oh, Corian isn't here today.
Yeah, they
And
kept
the
on saying
Corey thing
it.
was 3 days.
It implied that at least it had been a few days.
Over at Ren,
Meanwhile, Ren's doing all this at
he's running the
once.
gauntlet.
So either A, they just have that in as an extra thing, and it actually turns out that Ren's fight took place on the last day, which is a weird story setup. Or B, Ren's been taking a 12-hour breaks between each fight.
See,
I
cause
see.
it's time to stop.
That is possible. We could run on that theory. Or we could go with Ren taking 12-hour breaks.
I agree.
I actually think that's a bit more feasible.
It is probably a bit more feasible. Although
went to the Bushi
that
Mart.
must suck for Tetsu though. He was probably standing up there that whole
What?
time.
I've been here
I got
for
it.
3 days.
Got it. Remember how Suiko fell unconscious and Ren was just sitting there? Mm-hmm. That's probably the 12-hour break.
Actually, that might be because I remember when Naoki passed out. He was out for a bit, and then he just woke up. So it is possible that he literally are just taking hours for them to wake up before they actually continue.
It must be like bending.
Which means Tetsu was in fact standing up there for days,
No one.
waiting for him to come. Abby's Kyo has been fighting for days.
That explains why they made all those stops at the Bushi Road Mart.
It does.
That is that.
Wow, we just explained their plot hole by using what happened in the thing. So that means,
Using their logic.
yeah, using their own logic, that means this did in fact take place over days.
Now I know how an English teacher feels like.
Wow.
I just figured out something else. Tetsu collapsed, and Tetsu and Ren both collapsed afterwards. And then they jump cut. That was another break because both of them were
Oh,
like,
wait.
oh,
It- it's true.
God,
No,
Tetsu's
guys.
finished.
It's true,
Guys,
they do jump cut every
When
time.
Ren and Tess were fighting, it was nice. When they left, it was day.
It is true.
Oh,
It really is taking them hours at a time.
That is messed up.
It is messed up.
Wow,
It's
these,
so
fights,
subtle.
these fights take minutes. What are you doing?
Well, that was a 5
Wow.
minute card fight. Better go take a 12-hour break.
Hey guys, let's all watch Lord of the Rings.
No, man. It's gotta be something like that, or something like they win, they pass out. When they wake up, they get food,
That's food.
But-
talk,
break,
and then
but
go.
no one eats. It's just once every speech arc.
I don't know.
They
Link
eat
Joker
doing-
is some messed up stuff, man.
It's like I was so happy that plot came back, but now the plot's all weird.
How well nourished is Tetsu now?
Well, he did look smaller than usual, except for that when he was doing his little speech
He
thing.
must be dehydrated.
Oh yeah, and the feels. Better feels than you get from Ren and Asuka, even though they should totally be closer. But no,
Well, it's because
It
the news takes
seems-
longer.
I'm useless without you.
Yeah,
Don't leave me,
That-
Tetsu.
They actually teared up, right?
yeah. So I think they did. It seems their
It's-
romance is the strongest
It's
one.
one of the most ultimate romances I've ever seen in them. But
Yeah.
yeah, that's enough for that part. Can't wait to see Kote come back. With the great Dayusha! Oh my goodness, why is the next episode Dayusha Falls?
Dayusha Falls. It means one of two things.
There's Locke,
Or three
there's
things.
Great Nature. What's going on?
Hey, Yuri! Oh,
You know what it could mean? It could mean in a small flashback we see him using Dayusha but losing with it, so he decides to go with something new. And that's what they mean by he falls.
yeah. My guess is that, well, I think we saw in the preview, but I
After
guess
they
like,
visit a waterfall.
Dayusha like literally breaks the middle of the fight, but for some reason he's also using Gai Kaiser, so we may get a cross-break ride reverse of it.
It's I don't know.
Yeah,
it's
these,
either he has to lose or he ditches Dayusha
I mean,
altogether.
He's going against Kai. He's not going to beat Kai, but
Yeah,
what's going to
Nebula
happen?
Lord
if he-
was there, so I don't know.
It is
Maybe
true.
he's losing in a flashback, and then he's tormenting SIT.
I don't know. It could, but it's like you said. It could be that Dayusha lost to Great Nature, and it was because remember he was there learning new stuff and all.
Great
Oh,
It could be that he
I
learned
guess
that
Team
Dayusha sucked.
SIT got reversed.
No.
He loses.
No, he just loses to Leopold. He gets bummed
Well-
out, sees Kai, is like, oh, hey Kote, what's up?
I'm-
Oh, I'm just feeling down because let's fight. Oh, that means you need more power. I'll show you.
Well, I'm going to stick with my theory that it might be that he just switched out from Dayusha to the whatever stuff because I don't see Kote.
He goes from blue to red.
Yeah, I don't see Kote being the sort to be the bad guy during this
Yeah,
arc's.
he can't be.
So it's
Or-
most likely that he
You know
just
what?
gave up.
Oh,
No,
God.
He's just gonna, what?
Oh god, that was
we might,
close.
We might be thinking the same thing, but you say first.
I might need to change my deck to address this threat.
Yeah, exactly. Now what are you saying?
He lost his Dayusha cards and then decided to switch.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
Well-
Never mind. My guess that was he's gonna be playing Nubatama.
That would be funny
Yeah.
too, but no, I'm definitely going with he felt he needed stronger cards, and he chose the new stuff.
I guess.
I mean, it wouldn't be much different than certain someone who ditched her family's deck to play Witches and then only mentioned it episodes later or something. It wouldn't be like that or
Yeah,
anything.
I think it's just because they were actually playing a Penny Tsukuyomi.
Well, no, duh. My point still stands. She could have said something about it the moment she switched her deck over.
Previews are misleading sometimes, though.
It is
so
true.
We're just gonna have to see what
We'll
happens.
find out next
All
week.
we know is that Yuri and Guy are caught in traffic.
Isn't it great that this show is being good again?
Well, it's being
in a way.
it's being good in that it is
It's
entertaining
simply worth talking
and it's
about.
worth talking about again. On the other hand, there is so many more plot holes than there ever was in the
At
first
least
season.
they're pointing out the plot flags.
Yeah, they are pointing them out at least sometimes. But it's like, when you compare it to the first season, it's like, can you not just make a simple story again? That's what made it different than Yu-Gi-Oh! It was just a story about a kid wanting to get better,
And he did.
and he did.
But
It
I
was all you
guess
needed.
I can see it because
I-
it's like, what do we do now? We
Well-
already did that.
I think they can do it. They were doing something with Naoki for a while that was working pretty well.
Yeah.
He learning from the master. It's a master teaching a student. That story works.
But then everyone would
It's
get
fine.
so angry because that means so much Eradicator
But
support.
but here's the thing though. It was working when it happened. When they stopped doing that is when it got boring. Like when Naoki first showed up and he was learning the game, that stuff was actually entertaining. It was actually fun. When it started being about Aichi again, it started getting boring because he wasn't learning anything. Because what is he going to learn?
It's just pretty much, I'm going to fight you, Aichi. I am Aichi. I win!
Yeah, it was basically
Put
that.
it in play.
And
It's like,
You know, there was
Except for those 2 times where I don't.
Except for but that's what I mean. It came out to Aichi's not doing anything interesting because what is he going to learn? He's just going to win at the last second. Naoki was giving us interesting stuff because he was the newbie who was getting better. Then they ditched it for that. And then they ditched that for aliens invading. And while it's definitely an interesting idea because it's very, old school Yu-Gi-Oh! It's very, old school Yu-Gi-Oh!
Season 4, Godzilla invades.
I believe that's this season. It's Flying Godzilla, but it's Godzilla.
This is a good Godzilla.
It's not even Mecha Godzilla. It's something else.
But my point is that they didn't have to do this road to make it interesting. A good writer can make even a slice of life story work. Just look at Nichijou.
Even this
Or even
could
Watamote.
work.
It's
They're
like
just doing it wrong.
Yeah, even this could work. I'm not saying it can't. I'm saying, first of all, the Link Joker's plan is already flawed because their plan is to take over the world by beating everyone in card games. And if everyone in the world played card games, that would mean something.
Here's the thing. They're located apparently in some city where the best school is focused on not card games. And, the beginning plot was trying to take down the card games.
It's like there was a plot already, and then they just kind of gave up on it.
Man, first season's Rent's like, I'm really good with this Qualia. I'm going to go over the world now.
And that plot would makes more sense in Yu-Gi-Oh! Because, they have a whole university, effectively, like not just one university, a chain of them, based on card games. The most powerful people on the planet are the people who play card games and make them. It's like that world, it makes sense. In this one, it's our world, but
admittedly, the student council is just stupid Team Rocket.
it is true. But at least
at
they
least
were.
it had a degree of normalcy going there.
Yeah, and normalcy isn't a bad thing. What made Vanguard different from Yu-Gi-Oh! Was that it was people playing actual card games.
You don't really know why they're hating on the game. You just know they do, and
It's because they're
because
not
it's-
studying!
Yeah, it's literally the reason. It's because it's not helping them to learn globalization, which apparently is all that school teaches, based on what they all say.
Also, whatever happened to that red-haired chick that seemed to be involved with Link Joker?
Oh, secretary? She was part of the school, and then they left that part, and then we went to Ren.
Yeah, we went to Ren, so we don't know yet.
And remember, Naoki lost all his memories, so no one knows about that, so they're just in the shadows.
Yeah, so we won't know until later. All I know is that it seems
she's the only one involved in it, though.
like you're directly involved with it
like-
because he talks to them. And all I know is it feels like they just kind of jumped the shark. That's what it is. Because
They're trying to do some things too fast.
yeah.
Other things are just sort of left
It's
there.
like, I guess
and-
she started evil.
Because again, first season, we already met, but even season 2, it's like it had a save the world thing, but it was mostly save their world. And while it wasn't a good plot, it kept our world being a regular world, and it just happened like the Shadow Realm of sorts was being attacked, and they're playing card games. It's basically continuing the
kept
ideas.
moving
Yeah,
slowly.
Yeah,
Didn't really go anywhere.
didn't go anywhere, but it was going with the same ideas that the first season ended off on. This one went back to the idea of the first season, just regular card games in school, and then literally over one episode, just one, changed into alien invaders.
Granted, that was a fucking brilliant episode.
It was.
It came out of nowhere. They could have used a little bit more build-up. But,
yeah, that's what I mean. It's like, and it doesn't need much. It could just be every once in a while we cut to the quiet red-haired girl going off somewhere. And, then as it gets closer to the point, you see red marks under her eyes. And then that episode, it's like, because yes, it was interesting at first to see it out of nowhere, but as it's gone on, it's like, this plot might be a little stupid.
Entertaining, but stupid.
Yeah, it's entertaining, but it's stupid.
Integrated it a lot better.
Because it literally shifted gears.
Now it's this. Oh,
And now
everything's
it's-
back to normal?
Yeah,
Question mark?
and then, now it's like, I don't even know. I guess everything's fine for now, though. It's...
Just Kai's still missing.
Yeah,
I hope he's getting food.
I think he
Think
doesn't
of
need
that
food.
one.
He doesn't need food. He's got Link Joker.
You know, that might not actually be true. They might just not need to eat when they're being possessed by Link Joker. I mean, Tetsu was...
I think it would work. I think it would work better if they did it later in the series, where you know, student council just gives up and Vanguard becomes more popular, where more people are playing the games. It would make more sense. But
It would make sense if they waited longer, but in order to do that, they would have had to think of story threads for those like 20 episodes where nothing was happening.
We're just going to do an intramural match, and then we're going to do a tournament arc.
Yeah.
Except it's not really.
Except it's not
arc
actually a tournament
because they lose in like immediately.
So yeah, it's the end of that.
In the same matchups we already did. Who cares?
Yeah, it was way too fast. And then it got to things that was, while interesting, was very... I don't even know if I could even call it something that mattered as much anymore. It was just Ren's little thing. If we didn't even see that, it wouldn't have even mattered. Because what would they do? They're slowly aiming to get Ren. They won't attack anyone else. They're looking for Ren. Kai is the only one who's actually looking for other people to fight because he said it himself.
It's his job.
Yeah. So, literally, that whole thing could have just been in the background.
You know what would have made this better? If during the middle of the Ren Arc, we cut to Kai finding Aichi, and they fight, and Aichi loses, and then Naoki has to bring him back.
That would actually
Now,
be cool.
Hold on. Inverse.
But that means
would never work.
yeah,
No.
because that means Aichi gets broken reverse Gold Paladins, and it's gonna be with Dungaree
But
Unlimited.
here's the thing, though. From a storytelling perspective, that does make sense. Because at the beginning of the series, Naoki is being set up to be our new pro-tag. And for his mentor to become possessed and never fall to the dark side, and for him to go and bring him back, would be a great story arc that they could have followed. It would make sense.
Yeah, that
And
could have been the whole season right there.
Yeah, it could have been a whole season in of itself.
Building up to that. Granted, you need to come up with 10 billion excuses why you just aren't fighting that guy who sits right next to you. But,
Well, I figure if it's Aichi who gets possessed, he'd probably be going elsewhere too. Like Kai, I think,
The
is doing.
Himalayas to fight Kyo.
Right. Yeah, I guess doing that, because they're wanting to spread this thing around the world. They can't do that sitting around in Japan. He has to be going somewhere.
what's the deal with Kai? Okay, like, I know in Season 2 they established he has a job.
Yeah.
What does he do?
No one
I don't
fucking
know.
knows. Apparently he
knows.
has
He
enough
just
money
has
to
a-
fly around the world, though.
Yeah, apparently he
I've
does.
got it. Kai is a male stripper.
Wait. Yes.
Enjoy that, fangirls. What?
But
No. Takuto has money.
that's true. He does. Yes. And he is possessed. So yeah. But that's my thing. That's my point, though. It's like that whole problem cell right there because Aichi wouldn't be there. He'd probably be sent out doing this stuff, and then Naoki has to find him.
It's like,
It's like, there you go, one big plot thread right there, and it would come in.
pick a plot.
Yeah, basically, it comes down to
Because
they need to
it's
pick a
like,
plot, because either that, pick a good one.
We have a new
That has a
character.
bunch of
Let's
small
do
ones.
things with him. Oh, never mind.
They are going
To the side.
Do this role reversal thing. Boom.
They are going to have to do so much to make this not seem like a complete
Stay
total
focused.
failure.
So
Well,
much
yes.
of Aichi.
Guess we'll
be
find
a
out.
Sweet command dragon.
Maybe what they need to do is get more, well-established writers and directors into this show. Because I don't know who does write or direct this, but it doesn't. But it's never. But I've never seen their names ever come up in any
heard
things.
something about GX and Beyblade.
That's not a good sign.
The writer of one and like the animator of another.
Well, that's not a good sign.
Writer, director.
All right.
I don't know, but
Here's-
it's bad.
It's like, yeah, well, look at that, and then look at, let's say, Common Writer.
But it's
The most recent one.
silly
It's got,
'cause
what were they again? The writer of Madoka working on it, and the director of several other Kamen Rider series, and Akiba Ranger directing this thing. That's some pretty big names.
Also-
What does Vanguard have? A guy who wrote Beyblade.
Also, you
We're-
guys have to
oh.
realize that when it comes to animation, the director is not the same as a movie director or TV director. The director
I
is
know
basically a producer. I don't know if they know that, though, or people out
But
there know
that still proves the point. There's no one of real note
Yeah,
who works on this
exactly.
show, and that might be why these seasons are kind of falling apart because they're clearly not focusing like doing it too closely to the manga from what I've heard. Because there's a lot of things that aren't exactly the same, and that might be what's
Like
messing.
whole characters
They
missing.
managed season 1 just fine, and that's the weird thing. You know they can
Yeah, they can do it.
handle it.
It's just they're not doing it. Maybe someone who worked on season 1 isn't working on it right now.
It could've
Season
been like-
2 was complete filler. It was like 2 pages
was.
in the manga. It was just something they did while Ito was finishing up his first arc of the manga. And he supposedly outlined what's going on in this 3rd season. And it shows, but at the same
So
time,
at the same time,
there's
it's
a lot of weird filler. And,
yeah. It's like the elements are fine, but the execution is not right. Something's wrong, and I think they just need to get a better director or writer or something in this because it just keeps on jumping everywhere. Like I'd rather it just be focused on anything.
Man, even that tournament arc, as lame as like it was, we
Which
actually got
which one?
something out of it.
Which one? The one that where they lost in the
Yeah,
second.
they lost in the preliminaries. But no, they actually, brought back the old characters and
Yeah,
developed them
it's true. They did do
in
that.
an environment where you're not, who knows how far away from your protagonists.
Yeah, what about like I forget the guy who played Tachikaze.
Izaki.
Izaki.
He went from 0 to, oh man, this guy is awesome.
Yeah, it's like that's what they could have been doing this whole season. Is just focusing on other characters to get them built up for that tournament arc. I mean, heck, it could have been a good opportunity to bring in Kamui's backstory that you mentioned he has into the anime's continuity, because apparently he has one, and it's actually probably one of the better backstories of any of the characters.
And like that tournament arc was set up perfectly for everything as it was, because it's, it goes across all of Asia eventually.
Yeah, it starts out with all of Japan's stuff after their one district area, then all Japan, and then it keeps growing. It could have been another whole thing in and of
And
itself.
you could have run into all these old characters just fine.
Like the Weeds guys and like.
Oh god,
Well,
that's
no,
battle
the
like-
Reapers.
The named ones.
Okay.
Like, they could have gotten, run into, Koki, Kote, and, once they get out of Japan, they're, fighting SIT again, and,
Caesar.
yeah,
And then,
just,
or heck, they could have done the natural progression, a world tournament.
the structure was already there, and it was working, and then they quit.
Ren wins!
Yeah.
End the story.
Yep.
I don't get it. There's something there, and then it just kind of got abandoned. If any of you know exactly who is writing or directing this stuff, I actually am curious to know, but I'm not curious enough to actually look myself. But from what I understand, it's no one of real merit, because if they were, it would have probably shown up in one of our several blogs or sites or whatever. Because we go to a lot of them, and as far as I know, we've heard about everyone who sings the openings, but we haven't heard much else other than what we've already mentioned here.
I've seen things, I just
Like-
don't remember them, because it's like, what?
They're not that important, and it's like you need someone who is really good at writing these sorts of things. Otherwise, it's not going to work right. It's like because the Ren one almost did. The Ren Arc, because I forgot we were talking about that. It did work for the most part, but there were certain things in it that
Had some disconnects.
yeah,
Like at first. Like at first when it was first starting up, it was like this arc looks really promising.
it
There's
looked
a lot of
promising,
problems with it,
yeah.
And then it ended. What was with the ending?
What she means to say is it started off fine because Ren was in the right for that fight, and what should have happened from there is when he gets the people he's actually been hanging out with, he has to come to grips with the fact that he has made mistakes and flaws, like we said earlier.
This happened
And-
because of you, Dillhall.
Yeah, and he comes to grips with that and becomes a better person as a result. So far, from what we've seen, he hasn't really learned anything. And in fact, will probably continue to make these mistakes because no one remembers anything that happened except for him. So he'll continue to make these mistakes, and no one will even know that they went through all this trouble. And that's terrible. Because Ren is terrible.
He's an awful, awful man.
He was evil, you know.
He was evil, you know,
He got
but
better.
When?
Sort of.
but that's the thing. This whole arc also implies that this whole time he was a dick and evil even before he got Psyqualia. Because it means he was pestering Tetsu non-stop before he had that power. And when he lost the power, he was intentionally forgetting people's names and pretending he didn't know what was going on. Even though this arc proves that he does know what's going on.
He is all-knowing.
He just
He's
pretends like he
just-
doesn't.
He's just really bad at sarcasm.
Which, even that doesn't really make sense. Because it's like, come on, man. You see these people who are clearly having problems because of you. Reassure them.
You're not dense.
You're not- yeah.
And the whole entire thing with Corrine, too. Because it looks like we're not going to get, like, that little twist of, oh, she's actually still evil. It's a trap. It looks like we're going straight into season. We're not going to see these people again for another, like,
Yeah.
month or
Be-
two.
She
Which
just gonna
is
get
also
around
true
before.
because usually when you do something like this, you show some sign that they might not be exactly normal, even if it's just a subtle hint. But they
Like a
didn't
shadow
Give us
give.
that. It's just not visually.
If they did that, because what they gave us was they're back, hi, bye.
And
They
Ren's
weren't
like-
there long enough to
No, it's
really.
like Ren's like,
Yes.
oh, they're back. Yeah, be
Yeah,
careful.
no. The characters themselves have to give it that. Otherwise, he's just saying that because I don't know.
So I'm thinking
Because maybe there's something wrong in. Maybe I feel something wrong in the air. I wonder what it could be. Where's Corin? Oh, there she is. Yeah.
Problem solved.
See, that's.
Actually, he's gone.
You see,
Well, so much for telling him about
See,
what just happened.
that's what I mean, though. For all we know, that Be Careful Actually could be lead to nothing. What you need is one of the characters in question to show some kind of twinge, hint, anything, even in just how they speak, to be somewhat different, to know that they aren't normal. Because otherwise, what the heck? It's the same as just having a person just be evil out of nowhere.
Yeah. And we're not going to see them for another month is the thing.
Yeah, so it's like, yeah, their thread is not going to show up if there is a thread for at least another month because of Kote's thing. So we're not going to hear any closure, or any continuation, or anything about that for a long time, if we even get that. And that's stupid. Well, I think that's about everything, unless you guys have anything else you want to complain
No.
about.
I think we got our rant out. Like,
All
see,
right.
we're shooting in a very strange location because we had to get this out. We had to.
America. Anyway, I guess that's all for this rant. I guess the next time you'll hear from us is when we cover all of Kote's thing. Whether or not we do that as episode by episode or once the whole thing is done so we can just recap it all, I guess we'll know in next week.
Depends on how powerful the episode is.
Yep. So until then, see you all next time. Bye, everybody.
We can all have snacks.